Good evening and welcome to the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast. I am your host, Andrew. Happy to be back after a week where I really couldn't talk for crap last week thanks to a wonderful sinus infection. Joe, thanks for allowing me the night off because I don't know if I would have made it last week. How you holding up, dude?
Hey, holding up, man. I mean, baseball is baseball, but one of my favorite holidays is this week, and I'm also here to remind you the British blew a 13 colony lead. And Philly fans, this is the OG. Like, let's just stop.
Yeah, let's put a pause on that for 1 second. To all the Phillies fans that were over in London wearing the shirt but not from Obvious Shirts, fuck off. Obvious Shirts came out with it years ago, way before any of the knockoff t-shirt shops around Philadelphia did it. Give them the credit that they deserve, and that's where the money should go. It's not like the money's going to a bad place. You know, Joe at Obvious Shirts gives so much back to the community. As we've touted, I don't know how many times in the show, but yeah, sorry Phillies fans. Obvious Shirts is the OG for the British Blue, a 13 colony lead. Official position of the show, put the stamp on it. So Jason's not going to be joining us tonight. He got nailed with a migraine earlier today, so he's taking a rest. He sent some thoughts on for us, so we will share them when we get to those sections. And yeah, Ron's still he's working on feeling better, and things have been going on with him. So just us tonight. Joe, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm conflicted, so I'm drinking SoCo and Diet Mountain Dew. Not only does it not mix very well with the liquor, so there's a little bit more punch to it. America and the British didn't mix well together, and me and the Cubs don't mix too well right now either. So
all statements are very fair. For me, my parents, as you might know, Joe, they do a trip to Maine every year. It's all my fault that they do it because I was in the Bar Harbor Brass ensemble years ago. When I was in high school, it was a prep thing for colleges and stuff to do small group work, run by members of the Philadelphia Philharmonic Orchestra. Great experience. Love Maine. Sadly, somehow I have not been back ever since, even though it is my fault that they do the trip every year. Go figure. But it's okay. They every year when they go up, they find a local brewery and bring me back some local beer from Maine. So tonight I'm going to feature the beer they brought back for me. It's from Mass Landing Brewing Company. It is the Gunner's Daughter Milk Stout. It's a stout brewed with natural flavor, a nice 5.5% stout. I'm trying to see, where are they out of in Maine? I don't Westbrook, Maine. So, yeah, absolutely delicious beer. It's not too heavy despite being a stout in the middle of the summertime. Of course, as you well know, that's never stopped me in the past.
far be it from that to stop you. I mean,
all right. So let's roll into it tonight, catching up on some of the stuff from last week as well as the stuff from this week. First, we want to pause to remember and honor the life of Willie Mays, a legendary figure whose contributions to the game of baseball and society at large will forever resonate in our hearts. He was born May 6, 1931 in Westfield, Alabama. He emerged from humble beginnings to become one of the most iconic and beloved athletes in the history of sports. From his early days playing in the Negro Leagues with the Birmingham Black Barons to his illustrious career in Major League Baseball, he exemplified excellence, grace, and an unparalleled passion for the game. He joined the New York Giants in 1951 and quickly captivated fans with his extraordinary talents, earning the nickname the Say Hey Kid, one of the greatest nicknames in sports, in my opinion. Over 22 remarkable seasons, Willie amassed 660 home runs, 3,283 hits, 1,903 RBIs, and a career batting average of .302, leaving an indelible mark on the sport he loved. He was a player who could do it all. His offensive prowess was matched only by his defensive brilliance. His glove seemed to have a magnetic pull on the baseball, and his arm was a cannon that could catch any runner off guard. His legendary catch in the 1954 World Series is simply known as the catch. It remains one of the most celebrated moments in baseball history. It wasn't just his athleticism that endeared him to millions, but his infectious smile, his humility, and unwavering sportsmanship. But Willie Mays' legacy extends far beyond the diamond. At a time when America was wrestling with profound racial and social challenges, Willie stood as a beacon of hope and unity. He broke barriers, challenged stereotypes, and inspired countless individuals with his courage and determination. His impact was felt not only in the stadiums, but in communities across the nation, where he dedicated himself to mentoring young athletes and advocating for equality and inclusion. Off the field, Willie was a devoted mentor and philanthropist. He worked tirelessly to support youth programs, foster diversity in sports, and uplift his community. His contributions to society were as significant as his achievements in baseball, reflecting a deep commitment to making the world a better place. As we remember Willie Mays, we celebrate a life rich with achievement, integrity, and kindness. He taught us that greatness is not just measured by stats and accolades, but by the character and compassion that one shows in every aspect of life. Willie, your journey from the Sandlots of Alabama to the Hall of Fame is a testament to your remarkable talent and enduring spirit. Your legacy will continue to inspire future generations to dream big, play hard, and live with a purpose. Rest in peace, Willie Mays. Thank you for the unforgettable memories, the joy you brought to millions, and the enduring legacy you have left behind. You will forever be our say hey kid, and your spirit will live on in the hearts of all who love the game of baseball. Cheers, Willie. One of the greatest, maybe the GOAT.
Maybe. I saw something the other day. Looks like Buster Olney and somebody had talked about, whether maybe Willie Mays could become the new logo for the league. Buster had posted this. It looks pretty neat. Probably not going to show up on the camera, but Buster had tweeted it, and it's basically taking on sort of the NBA's version of it with Jerry West and making it Willie Mays for the logo of the league, which wouldn't be a bad idea, to have one of your all-time greats kind of be that person.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great idea.
So
I mean, he had an iconic swing, or you could even use the catch, or any number of moments from Willie's career. But I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. I really hope somebody runs with that.
Yeah, I spoke with my father-in-law, who kind of grew up watching Willie Mays, and he just remembers when he came up, he was fabulous, and he slumped initially and asked DeRocher to send him back down, and Leo said absolutely not. So, I can't say enough about the guy. He's been, an infectious, great ambassador for the game all these years. And it's been wonderful. So, a great human being, to be sure.
Yeah, just one of the best all time, both as a player and as a person. Maybe this is one we'll toss up in the future for our pick a player. Maybe we can do Hank Aaron versus Willie Mays, because boy, that's a tough one. So maybe we'll shelve that one maybe for future weeks. All right, and then the Rickwood Field Game took place 2 Thursdays ago. This is weird being off a week. It's screwing me up.
Yeah.
Wow, that was awesome. I enjoyed that broadcast very much, just like I always do with these MLB one-offs, but this was so good. Some notes I had: St. Louis shortstop Mason, when he used to play baseball for his stepfather, Earl Luckett, for a team named the Negro Leagues Legends. Their jerseys were adorned with the names of different iconic trailblazing players such as Mays, Robinson, Bell, Gibson, Page, and Aaron. The players would wear different name jerseys each week, plus they'd have to write research reports on those players before they would be allowed to play in the games. I love that. It's really fitting that Wynn scored the first run of the game, and after the game when he met with Luckett, the two shared clearly a very emotionally charged embrace as the whole moment just kind of came full circle on them. It was a poignant night all the way around. I mean, the Cardinals won the game 6-5. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really care about the score. I was just watching for the pageantry myself. Rickwood Field, it's America's oldest ballpark. It's 114 years old. The first integrated game was played on April 1st, 1954. The throwback uniforms look great on TV. The tribute to Willie was touching. The pregame ceremonies and interviews that both before, during, and after the game were all really, really well done. And the atmosphere of the ballpark, it just looked charged. It looked so good. Brendan Donovan, who hit the first home run, he grew up in Enterprise, Alabama, and played college ball at the University of South Alabama, so not far from there. Former Negro Leaguer Bill Greason, 99 years old, threw out the ceremonial first pitch. He is the oldest living Negro Leagues player. He grew up across the street from Martin Luther King Jr., fought in the Battle of Iwo Jima, and spent 53 years as a minister. And also, that was the first time MLB has ever had an all-black umpiring crew. What a night. We say it time and time again. MLB does one-offs better than anybody, and they showed out again with the Rickwood Field game. Wow. Honestly, Joe, it's so hard for me to pick like even my top 5 favorite moments from that game. They did such a good job with it. I do think in the pregame interview when Barry Bonds said he would have taken Satchel Paige deep, and everybody was like, dude, you're nuts. It's great to show confidence in yourself, but Satchel would have killed you. I'm with Griffey on that one. Bonds wouldn't have stood a chance. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I saw that, or I think I heard that. I did. Honestly, I didn't get a chance to see the game. Some other stuff going on, but I'll take your word for it. They typically do knock these games out of the park with all of the tributes. I do think it was kind of ironic. I think Monday Willie had said he wasn't going to be there, and then Tuesday he died, and it was just like, the timing was magical in a sense from that perspective.
Yeah, and the speech Willie's son gave before the game, chills and goosebumps, man. Wow. Yeah, as always, MLB does these events so well. I just wish they would do that more in the regular season and stop doing dumb things like having interviews during games with players on the field.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the pain out of the way. Week 13 of fantasy is in the books. Jason beat me down as I had way too much stuff going on last week to even pay a slightest bit of attention. He knocked me down 18-9. Joe, not a great week for you, although you only lost 13-11. And Ron's rough season just continued as Tim steamrolled him 21-7. Oh, geez. Well, good thing for Ron is he only lost 2 games in the standings. The bad thing for Ron is that puts him 38 games back. So after week 13, we have a deadlock at the top. Jason and I have identical winning percentages at 529. I have a 178, 157, and 29 record. He's got a 175, 154, and 35 record. Not sure if not sure how the tiebreaker thing is calculated. I don't know if they calculate the winning percentage out farther because I don't know how to calculate the ties. As of this point, it's a deadlock at the top, and it's starting to get tight. Tim is right behind at 4 games back, and then let's see here. Todd's at 9. Yeah, Todd's at 9, and you're at 12 back, and then I think Ron's waiting for next year. I think that's Ron's plan at this point. So, sorry, my screen wasn't scrolling there. Thanks. Yeah. So, it was it's an interesting couple of weeks in fantasy. I did not think for a second I was going to go wire to wire, so it really doesn't bother me to have been caught. And let's be real, when you go wire to wire, you have more targets on your back than you normally do. So I'm okay with Jason taking some of that pressure off my back for a while. Why not?
Yeah, it's hard for me to compete when 2 of my better pitchers can't get wins because the offense can't score runs. But hey, that was a category I lost handily. I think it was like 8-1 or 6-1. It was bad.
Again, it's not like the Cubs starters are pitching bad. It's definitely not their fault for the direction the team has gone. That's for sure. Joe, any major injuries the last 2 weeks? I didn't really look back at the injury report.
I don't think so off the top of my head. All
right.
I don't think.
I did see in It's funny because he's okay. I saw Brandon Nimmo's day-to-day right now. He tripped and fell going to the bathroom in the hotel and has some stitches on his head, but passed concussion protocol. You know what? Everybody can be clumsy. It happens. That's just life sometimes.
Something like that.
God knows I've tripped over my big ass feet enough times. All right. And then MLB just announced that there will be some changes to the home run derby this year. And I like the changes, Joe. Some flow changes. The first round's going to be the 8 hitters just swinging away, hit as many home runs as you can. And then the top 4 will advance to the semifinals. The tiebreakers will be broken by longest home run, and they'll be seeded by their home run total. So there won't be any pre-seeding done, which is great. Semifinals will be 1 versus 4, 3 versus 2, and then the finals will be the top 2. The rule changes. It's still going to be a 3-minute round in the first round of the semis, but it will be a 40-pitch max during the time portion. There is 1 timeout. Cannot use it during the bonus. Now, the bonus will not be timed. It's 3 outs, just kind of like the old format. 3 outs. If you hit a pitch 425 feet plus, you'll get a 4th bonus out. So it takes away the time aspect. You're not going to see players like trying to push and hit as many as they can in the last minute and a half, and that's great. I don't mind that at all. But if you're behind, the bonus round's on time, so you'll have a chance to try and catch up. I think it's a really good balance. And then the finals will be a 2-minute round, 27 pitch max. Again, 1 timeout still. Bonus rules will be the same as in the semis and in the first round. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the change. I feel like it's a good blend of the old school that I was kind of more of a fan of. Versus the timed rounds where you got guys kind of doing that repetitive max effort, too crazy. To me, I think this is a good balance. Hopefully, the biggest thing with the Derby in the old format is it just took forever.
Mm-hmm.
And with the newer format, it still takes long, but it's kind of, all the in-between interviews is what makes it longer now. So like, it's not the actual hitters hitting that creates the delay.
Yeah.
But hopefully this fight, strikes a good balance and they can cut out some of the extra side talk and just let us watch guys hit baseballs because that's what we're there for.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think I think you nailed it. It's the right blend between the old format and the new format, and I'm excited to see it this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it, like I said, hopefully it makes it a little bit more enjoyable, a little more, a little less ratcheted pressure on the guys.
Yeah, that definitely. And then I saw also that Gunnar Henderson is already confirmed. He is the first confirmed player in the home run derby this year. I'm excited to see Gunnar swing away because he is hitting the crap out of the ball this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I hope it doesn't do what we sometimes see with guys where it screws up their swing when they're back in regular play. But he's the face of the game right now, man, and it's good to have one of your faces in there.
Mm-hmm,
too many times we see guys who are the face of or one of the faces of the league and they just opt out of doing it. You need more guys like Gunnar to take that approach and be in it.
Yep, maybe Adley will be back this year too. We can see 2 Orioles in it. I wouldn't be upset. All right, and Joe, I believe you're about to drop a surprise question on me that I have no idea where you're going to come with it. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I had lunch with my boss last week, and we had an interesting conversation about baseball. And he posed a question to me, and I was just like, "Wow, I never thought of it." If you're the Dodgers, do you ever let Shohei Ohtani pitch again?
Ooh. For me, the answer is what's the rest of my pitching staff look like? If I can have Ohtani stashed as like a 3, 4, 5 guy, sure. Or maybe even as I don't want him as a closer. No, I don't think relief is the right role for him. If you're going to use him, I think you have to use him as a starter. I think I don't want him to be an ace, and I don't want him to have the pressure to be an ace because I think his bat is more important for my team than his arm is. His bat is in there every day, playing potentially 162 games a year. The arm, you're going to get 25 to 33 starts a year. So if he's a lower rotation guy and doesn't have the pressure and can just, or even maybe as just a sixth man every now and then to lengthen the rotation, I think that's great. Me personally, I'd rather have him focus on hitting and not even worry about pitching. That said, I don't think the Dodgers will do that. I think they are, especially after the investment they've put into him, I think they are, come hell or high water, going to have him pitching. But that's a really good question.
I mean, it's only $2 million a year. I mean, let's be serious. Jason said absolutely not. Can't risk losing him to something worse where he can't even hit. His stock is solely as a hitter now, which I see kind of both sides of this one. I think this is his second elbow surgery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And I think to me, that's the deciding factor here. He's been well worth the investment just on offense alone this year.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like, what's the point? Because the Dodgers clearly don't care about spending a ton of money.
No.
Number one, they do it all the time. And number two, their manager is still Dave Roberts, so it doesn't matter. To me, that's the deciding factor with the Dodgers anyway. But to me, I would say his stock is solely as a hitter. I kind of agree with Jason on this one now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the only way I think about it is in that 6-man rotation capacity, because that's 6 or 7 fewer starts a year. And again, it also depends, like you said, on what the rest of the rotation looks like. If Walker Buehler comes back and looks the way he's supposed to look, then, I mean, absolutely not. I mean, you've got that position kind of figured out. I mean, you've got to have a plan for Kershaw once he retires, but I think they're missing an opportunity by not bringing up Jackson Ferris at some point, because that would be just hilarious.
Absolutely.
To have Ferris be an opener and Buehler come in, that would be awesome.
It needs to happen at least once.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers, come on, you're up for the stupid nonsense. Like, let's do this.
Can't be any stupider than their City Connect uniforms.
Well, anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, that was my surprise question. Would you let Ohtani pitch if you're the Dodgers? And I mean, if anybody's listening and wants to chime in, certainly interested in everybody else's thoughts on that. But
yeah, I agree. I see where Jason's going with it too. I don't necessarily disagree with him either, that it's not worth even risking his value anywhere else but pitching or but hitting, excuse me. So yeah, I could see it both ways. When you have to bring a position player in to pitch when you're getting blown out, Ohtani does make a fun option for that. You have to admit.
I mean, that would be an interesting situation. Yeah. Definitely not throwing Ephus balls, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. He might not be pumping 100 miles an hour, but he'll probably at least throw it in the low 90s. Keep the hitters on their toes. All right, Joe. For this week's Would You Rather, I went with 2 Hall of Fame guys. I went with shortstops this week. Tonight, I want to know: would you rather, in their prime, Cal Ripken Jr. or Derek Jeter? 2 kings of the AL East.
Ripken. It's not even hard. It's not a hard question for me. The more and more I think about it, and the more and more I see numbers, the more and more I feel like Jeter was overrated. And I feel like Ripken's consistency was more important, I think, on a better team than the era he was with the Orioles. I think with a little bit more talent, they would have been a powerhouse. And to me, the leadership from Ripken was second to none in that consistency, and you knew what you were getting with him. So, and the versatility. I mean, he played short, he played third. He was willing to do whatever you wanted him to do. So, to me, Ripken's the easy choice here.
Yeah, my choice is also Ripken. A lot of the same reasons. I mean, the Iron Man streak was huge. I mean, how many guys did he inspire to play? Because if he could play, because he had some horrific, should have been like IL time injuries while he was playing, that he just showed up the next day and said, "Nope, I'm fine. Tape me up. I'm still going out there." I've seen I've seen highlights of some plays when he was still playing shortstop where he was just getting killed on those double play turns, because back when he was playing, there weren't rules to protect the fielders from runners flying in like that. So yeah, I know Jeter has more Golden Gloves. I think that's bullshit. I think most of Jeter's 5 Golden Gloves he probably shouldn't have had. There were better fielders. He was just the bigger name. And when you look at advanced fielding numbers, Jeter's range was terrible and his arm was below average. So fielding wise, Derek Jeter was never a great shortstop. Um, and yeah, Jeter's got the championships. He's got a World Series MVP. I'll give him that. Cal made it to 19 freaking All-Star games, and he was a 2-time MVP. Jeter was never an MVP winner. Cal Ripken had 95.9 WAR. Jeter had 71.3. Again, not taking away from either of them because they were both fantastic players. Jeter was a better all-around hitter. He had a 310 career average. Cal had more power, though. He had 431 home runs and almost 1,700 RBIs. So Cal brought more pop to it. Um, yeah, I know Jeter had more speed, but yeah, I'm going to stick with Cal Ripken. And if my mom's listening, no, this has nothing to do with how much I hate the mid '90s Yankees for what they did to my Braves. This is purely about whose plaque did I have hanging on the wall of my bedroom as a kid. It was not Derek Jeter; it was a Cal Ripken plaque. So that's going to be Ripken for me.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it just was like I said, more consistent play, and I think if Jeter were not a New York Yankee, I don't think he would have had nearly as much recognition
No,
as
not
he
even
got.
close. I think not even close. All right, Joe, who needs to read the room?
Well, there's a couple people obviously, but
There's
um,
always a couple people.
I think CB Buckner is the heir to the Angel Hernandez throne. He's been pretty awful lately behind the plate. Um, the fact that this challenge system is not in place at the major league level, MLB needs to make that move really quickly. And they've shown with the pitch clock changes that they don't really care about starting something in the middle of the season or at the beginning of a new year. So just come on, bring the challenge system up. Let's figure it out. Let's make it work because it would be better for the game than to see called strikes that shouldn't be called strikes. It's ridiculous. The percent correct issues with umpires right now is just it's it's unsustainable. It's ridiculous. Um, it takes away from the game. I shouldn't know all these umpires by name.
No,
It,
you
it's
really
it's
shouldn't.
it's a pain in the butt to have to deal with that. Um, the other person who needs to read the room is the new University of Texas baseball coach. He was coaching Texas A&M going into the College World Series final with Tennessee. He lost against Tennessee. In the post-game press conference, he says, "I came to Texas A&M to continue to coach here the rest of my time. I'm not going anywhere." Not even 24 hours later, he's the new coach of Texas. That's not even the worst part of this. The worst part about this is that there's a lot of guys who transferred almost immediately to Texas who he had clearly been contacting before any decisions were made and before A&M knew what was going on. Um, it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. It's the same way I feel about college football and the way that they make coaching changes before bowl games and all that nonsense and early signing periods and all that crap. Like, finish the year with the team you go in with, and don't don't lie, man. Like, if you want to say yeah, it's coach speak fine. You just lost a heartbreaker to Tennessee. But like at the same time, don't just be an asshole when you know you don't mean it. Like there's nothing that's more annoying than disingenuous people, and it's just nonsense. I don't remember what his name is, and I don't care to know what his name is, but it's just garbage, man. You clearly were contacting kids before you left Texas A&M, and it's just pathetic. It's really ridiculous.
And it makes the whole idea of you want my kid to buy in to your program because of everything you say, and then you're going to hop ship just like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's the one thing I don't have issue with when it comes to guys transferring anymore is because there's no loyalty from the coaches. And if there's no expected loyalty from the coaches, if a guy comes there to play for that particular coach, I mean that's not the reason they should make the college decision to begin with, but that's one of the factors, obviously. And if you make a decision based on that, then you need to be able to follow them if you want to. And you know, I I don't know. To me, it's just a mess, and I think it's just disingenuous and dishonest, and I can't stand it. It just made me really frustrated.
And incredibly poorly handled.
Yeah, absolutely poorly handled because it was like 24, not even 24 hours after the game was over, he was announced as a Texas head coach, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's just disgusting. It's awful to your guys who you went through thick and thin with just 24 hours ago. Um, and it said all the quote unquote right things that you should say after a loss like that, and to just jump ship like that. Yeah, it's really just infuriating. That was the biggest disappointment from a baseball fan standpoint last week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on here to down on the farm. I've picked some guys out since Jason's unavailable this week. For our down on the farm hitter this week, we're going to look at Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson plays for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the AAA affiliate for the Philadelphia Phillies. You're welcome, Jason. All right, so last week, listen to this, Joe. A 417, 500, 917 slash line, 1.417 OPS. 6 games, 24 at bats, 10 runs, 10 hits, no doubles, no triples, 4 home runs, 6 RBIs, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, 3 stolen bases, caught stealing once.
That's a hell of a week.
Damn good week.
I wish my entire roster could have that kind of week.
Dude, you're telling me. You are.
Oh, shut it! You still have a hope of the playoffs right now.
No, I'm extremely frustrated. That's where I'm at right now. My frustration with offensive prowess right now is starting to boil over, but that is what it is. All right, and then the pitcher for this week, I am going to head down to Norfolk. We're going to stay in AAA. Chase McDermott of the Norfolk Tides, that is Baltimore's AAA affiliate. Chase McDermott's week, Joe. He did not record a decision, which I know is an odd choice for one of these, but in 12 2/3 innings over 2 starts, he recorded a 2.13 ERA. He allowed 10 hits, 3 earned runs, only walked 4 guys, struck out 20 to 111 whip and a 2.13 average against.
I mean, the 20 strikeouts is phenomenal. That's insane.
Yeah. 20 strikeouts in 12 2/3 innings.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's for sure. That's impressive for sure.
Paul Skeens in the minors, man. That's what it reminded me of. And speaking of Paul Skeens, I'm glad Atlanta beat him. And that's probably all I'm going to say on Atlanta tonight. All right. So moving it on, Edwin Diaz, one of our Facebook followers last week, Eric Brobst, wanted me to make sure we brought this up during the episode. He was suspended last week by crew chief Vic Carpazza on the 24th against the Cubbies, actually, due to stickiness of his hand. His hand was mottled with black, which he later explained was due to what he felt was a legal combination of dirt, rock rosin, and sweat. He even asked Carpazza to smell it to confirm that, which For the record, I do not blame the umpire for not wanting to smell his hand to confirm it. He said, quote, "It definitely wasn't rosin and sweat. We've checked thousands of these. I know what that feeling is. This was very sticky. Without a question, it was way too sticky. It didn't take me very long." So while he's suspended, the Mets are not allowed to replace him on the active roster. And he's the 8th pitcher to be ejected since they started to crack down on the stickiness back in 2021. Joe, this brings back a point that you and I have brought up repeatedly. We need to come to a damn consensus on something for pitchers, because we can't have it so sticky that they can make the ball break 3.5 feet. But we need to get something stickier than plain rosin, because of the number of batters that are getting broken hands and losing playing time because of pitchers trying to go in. Because you can't tell pitchers not to go inside. That has to be a weapon in their arsenal. You can't take that away from them. Because if batters don't have to worry about the inside, they're going to light up the outside in the middle of the plate. You have to be able to pound the inside. But there needs to be a freaking solution for what to do to give pitchers enough grip that they can safely go inside. Now, you're never going to take away batters getting hit in the hand. It's going to happen. Even with stickier stuff, that will still happen. But we want to reduce it as much as we can. And we have said time and time again in the offseason, get some former and current pitchers together, find the right combination. It can't. There's got to be something.
There has to be a solution to that. I mean, it's one thing if it's once every couple of weeks, but there are probably 4 or 5 guys a week who are getting hit inside, on the hand, on the forearm, wherever. And it's just unacceptable that we can't figure something out to give these guys something to make it a little bit easier. Obviously, I think we've talked about this a ton when we talked about injuries earlier in the season. The emphasis on max velo has been a problem too. But a lot of these pitches aren't really max velo. They're just tailing in. And like you said, you can't – you can't –
balls.
Some of it's fastballs, but some of it's breaking balls. And it's just like it's a good mix of all of it. But there has to be a way to safely pitch inside without guys getting hit in the hand all day long. It's happened way too often for them not to address it. And, I mean, they got to do something. Like you said, they've got to do something with that stuff. And I'm tired of players who are just like, well, it was just this. Like Carapazza said, they've checked hundreds of hands by this point, thousands of hands by this point. They know what it is. Stop it. Stop pretending that it's not something. When you saw his hand, you knew there was something more on it. I'm sorry. You just did. And the other thing about this is watching the game live, I'm thinking, does Diaz really think he needs to cheat to beat the Cubs? Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I don't understand that, truthfully. Like, Diaz, you didn't need to cheat to beat the Cubs. The Cubs can't come back. They've shown that. So
it's really true.
I've lived through it. I mean, Cliff Floyd on Marquee Network is like, they were down 4-0, and he goes, 4-0 feels like 10, and I'm like, yeah, it does. It feels like it's 10-0, and it doesn't matter. They were down 4-3 the one night last week, and I shut it off, and I'm like, it'll be the same thing when I get up in the morning, and yeah, same score. And it was like 6th inning when that happened, and you're just like, come on, guys. Like, and the worst case thing about the Diaz thing from a Cubs standpoint is that Drew Smith comes in, and Drew Smith has been a thorn in the side of a lot of Met fans because he's not always accurate, and he's not always, dominant like Diaz usually is. And what does Patrick Wisdom do? He swings at the first pitch, and it's a long fly ball, and the game is over. Like, it's ridiculous. The fact that Diaz thought he needed to do that to win is stupid to me. I think the Mets should have sent him down before the suspension came out because, then they could have not been without him, or been without a player. But I guess they don't manipulate the system the way Milwaukee does. It seems a little ridiculous. I mean, I think the suspension's obviously worthwhile, and it clearly was more than rosin and sweat. It didn't look like a normal pitcher's hand. I'm sorry, it didn't.
Yeah.
And as much as I didn't really care because I kind of was resigned to the result, like at the same time, you've got to stop pretending that it's not something, not what we see.
Yeah. And for the record, Vic Carpazza has been the home plate umpire for 267 games in his career. So, yeah, he knows what he's looking for. It's not like he was just brought up from AAA umpires last week. He's been around.
Yeah, I do think that he's been conspicuously, like, he's been the one who ejects a lot of these guys, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's just the lucky one, or
people think they can pull the wool over his eyes. I don't know.
But, I mean, if Carapazza's on your umpiring crew, don't even bother trying to cheat.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a pitcher since an umpire since 2015. He's not new to the job. Is he one of the better umpires? He's above average. He's not great, but he is above average. So. Just come on, pitchers, knock it off. You know what the rules are. I also don't think the Mets could have stashed him in AAA because I'm 99% sure he has no options left. So They would have had to have outrighted him, which he would have refused, or had to DFA him and eat a huge chunk of salary and watch every team line up to sign Edwin Diaz for pennies on the dollar, while the Mets, yet again, would have to pay another guy for a long time after they're not on the team. And speaking of guys the Mets are still paying for a long time that aren't on the team anymore, happy Bobby Bonilla Day, Joe.
Yeah, happy Bobby Bonilla Day to you.
And to all those who follow.
And all those who celebrate and follow and whatnot. I sent a text to my father-in-law this morning, and he says, "You're so kind to remember." And then I said, although after all this Ohtani nonsense, like it seems like Bonilla's deal seems like child's play at this point.
Yeah, it does.
Not to mention Chris Davis, who the Orioles paid $9 million to today.
Yeah, so as soon as Bobby Bonilla Day is no longer a thing, it's going to become Chris Davis Day, and then it will be Shohei Ohtani Day. Look, let's remember, every team defers salary. This is not unique to the Mets. It's not unique to every team does it. The Rockies were paying Larry Walker years after he retired. Atlanta was playing Bruce Sutter years after he retired. Bruce Sutter barely played for Atlanta. So it's not like every team does it. It's not like it's unique just to the Mets. The thing that makes the Mets so funny is that Bobby Bonilla was bought out so heavily. Buyout amounts of that amount were unheard of at the time. And Bobby Bonilla's agent was smart enough to tack on a hefty interest payment. And he made sure that if Bobby died before 2035, that his kin would still get the money. That the Mets have literally no way to loophole out unless they can get Bobby Bonilla to agree to buy out the remainder of it, which he's not going to, because why would you? I'd love to have a cool 1.2 million hit in my bank account every year, July 1st.
Jeez, yeah, really.
Yeah, there's a lot I could do with 1.2 million a year. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Regular work would definitely not be one of those things. That's for damn sure. All right, so now we've poked a little fun at the New York Mets. Let's roll into our City Connect reveal. Jason sadly did not send his rankings in, so it'll just be Joe and I tonight revealing ours. So we'll start bottom to the top, Joe, and we'll do it in blocks of 10. So we'll do 29 to 21st. Do you want to reveal yours first, or do you want me to reveal mine first?
Hey, you're the boss. However you want to do it's fine with me.
Fine, I'll go first. All right, so number 29, very predictably, the first incarnation of the LA Dodgers. That was such a complete garbage show. We don't give two craps about this showing. So they are 29th for me. 28th, Cincinnati. Love the intertwined C. Hate the fact that the Reds are in black uniforms and I can't read the damn things, the front or the back, anywhere. Number 27, the second incarnation of Funfetti Dodgers. Still hate it. Still stupid, better than the first. Number 26, I have, where's 26? There they are. The St. Louis, the Lou Cardinals. I think the Lou speaks for itself. Number 25, Detroit. The hat was terrible, and the tire tracks didn't look like tire tracks. I was very disappointed. 24, the Rangers, because if you show anybody who doesn't watch baseball regularly that hat, they don't know what the hell it is either. Number 23, Toronto. You can't read it. The hat's great. You can't read the damn jersey. Number 22, should have been awesome, but wasn't. Failed when it hit the field. Tampa Bay. If they would have made the neon a little brighter so you could possibly see the numbers, because I love the idea, I love the concept, they just failed on the field. Number 21, the San Francisco Foggy Giants. Thought it was dumb when it came out. My opinion hasn't changed much over the ensuing years with everything else that's come out. And number 20, Wrigley Field. They made it all the way down to 20. I know we've bashed Wrigleyville a lot, but they were a lot. When I looked at all these other ones, they made it a lot farther than I thought they would before they flamed out on my list. All right, Joe, what do you got? 29 to 20.
29, Toronto Blue Jays. Hated it.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated it. 28 is the first Dodger uniform. Garbage. Didn't care for it. Too much blue. Not enough real different about it from the regular set. 27, I had Cincinnati for a lot of the reasons you mentioned. The uniform was black and you couldn't read hardly anything. 26, I had Kansas City. Just didn't really care for how it all laid out. Just didn't really care for the look. 25, Arizona. The Desert Storm or Desert Sun pants and shirt. I feel like if they had done maybe a different set of pants, it might have been better.
Well, they even they tried white first, and then they went to mono sand. That's one where I actually think black pants would have been better. It would have popped everything better.
Yeah, it might have been better. And I do like the one name for that the CHGO Cubs guys came up with. They called it the potato salad uniforms. It's pretty accurate with the color. So Arizona was 25. 24, Tampa Bay, again, for a lot of the reasons you mentioned. Great concept, but you can't really see it. At 23, the LA Angels.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Not a whole lot different from their other uniforms other than some of the patching significance. To me, it just wasn't set apart all that much.
Okay.
22, San Diego. Too flashy, too much going on for me. I'm not a fan.
I think San Diego is going to be, when we look back, San Diego is going to be the most divisive one of all. It's either going to be a love it or hate it. There's not a lot of middle ground with that uniform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. It gave me, those old cup vibes from the 90s, the styrofoam cup vibes. And it gave me, vibes of, I don't know, an episode of Saved by the Bell or something. But, didn't really care for it. Too much going on for me. 21, I had Texas, again, for a lot of the reasons you mentioned.
Such a beautiful uniform.
Just too much stuff going on the uniform. And for me, number 20, the Chicago White Sox.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because it's the White Sox or what?
No, I don't know. Looking at some of the other uniforms, they were a little bit a little bit better than the other ones. Or they were a little worse than some of the other ones, and it was just kind of, you'll sense a theme in the next part of this, so that's fine.
Yeah. Well, and mono dark is hard to do well.
They went with a uniform that matches their current color scheme too. That's I think the other thing.
That's fair.
It's
It's
if it's
hard
too
because
much, if it's too close, then it's not really a nice alternate. I
yeah,
guess is part of my theory too. Um, I did like some of the lettering and the ideas behind the design, but I just overall didn't care for it. So that's 20.
that's fair. All right. 19 to 10, 19 to 11 for me. I'll stop before the top 10. Number 19, because for some reason I decided to not reorder this list by rank. Number 19, the Milwaukee Softball Top Brewers. Sorry, that's not a major league quality uniform. That's a minor league at best quality, more likely a beer softball league. Number 18, Kansas City. Number 17, the Philadelphia Phillies. Just under the halfway point for me. Number 16, I had Arizona. I liked it a little better than you did, although I wish they would have actually used some color. Number 15, the Colorado Rockies. Number 14, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Number 13, the New York Mets. Just missed out on the top 10. Number 12, San Diego. And number 11, the Cleveland Guardians, which I thought was honestly probably the best one released one of the best ones released this year. You could actually tell it was a uniform. You could read it. It was a good, solid uniform.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joe, from number 19 to number 11, please.
19, the Guardians. Didn't like it as much as you did.
That's okay.
18, the Funfetti Dodgers.
I still hate those uniforms.
17, Milwaukee. For a lot of the reasons you mentioned, but because it's the Brewers. At 16, I had the Lou because of a lot of the reasons I didn't like it before. It's too close to the original set, and it's just kind of this random nickname for the city. I mean, I thought I was, this would have been fitting last year when they were in the London series, but it doesn't work this year. At 15, I had the Wrigleyville Chicago Cub one.
Wow. I never thought you would put, as much as you've trashed on those uniforms, I never thought you would put them that high.
I didn't either, truthfully, but I think I was looking at this and I'm like, you know what?
There's so many worse.
There's a couple others that were worse, and it was kind of like, you know what? I think I would have liked it a ton less if I hadn't seen Shota rock the half cuff look. And to me, it was like, okay, there's enough contrast with the sock if you wear it that way. And so I was like, okay, I'm
most
okay.
of these City Connects, they look better high cuffed because Stance doesn't always do a great job on baseball socks. But I think the ones Stance made for the City Connect uniforms were really good. And the fact that so few players are going high cuff to show them off is a pity.
It is, yeah. That's my in Road to the Show. The guy is high cuffed. I don't care.
I always do high cuffed. Never do low.
So, all right. 14, Seattle. It's not. I mean, it was neat. It was clean and crisp, but it just wasn't all that exciting to me. At 13, the Mets. Considering the hitting streak and the winning streak they're on, there should have been definitely more purple. I think they've got plenty of purple now, thanks to Grimace, who is making regular appearances at games and is drinking during rain delays and all the other stuff. So, have fun with it, Mets fans. It's been funny to watch, truthfully. So, Mets are at 13, Philly at 12.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a little bit better than you did, but I didn't. It's not top 10 for me. The numbers is the worst part for me on this one.
Yeah, the numbers are bad, and
just
I don't like gradients. I've said it time and time again, and the Phillies uniform also suffers what a lot of them suffer from. There's small details that you never see if you're not within 3 feet of the damn uniform. So what's the point of having them there?
Well, fortunately, you and I live close enough to Philly that there's plenty of people wearing the jerseys walking around. So, um,
Also, I don't like Philly in blue. They're not a
yeah,
cold colored team. They're a warm colored team. It-
yeah. I mean, if they had not gone with a gradient and it had been closer to a baby blue, it would have been really nice.
yeah,
Um,
I would have been okay with that.
yeah,
Or if or like that's the other thing. They decided to take inspiration on their flag. Your flag is not dark blue. It's a very light blue. Actually, look at the flag before you design and say you based it off the flag. Freaking idiots at Nike.
yeah. Part of it's that. Part of it too. I think um, there was a leak I saw somewhere of a City Connect Philly one in red instead of blue.
I I
I don't know
wonder
if
how
that was real
legit
or
that leak.
not. Someone might have made a mock up of it.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know how legit that leak was.
and I
I-
don't think that would have been much better, truthfully. But
If it
uh,
wasn't gradiented, red would have looked nice.
yeah,
But red looks horrible in a gradient
yeah,
because it goes to
absolutely.
pink.
Yeah,
Matt Ocker, just quick, he likes the blue collar symbolism on Philly's uniforms. Matt, I do get that Philly is the blue collar city. I don't have a problem with the blue collar mentality. I don't have a problem with the symbolism. The uniform just I don't think it works that well. I just don't. Sorry.
yeah,
It
yeah,
has nothing to do with my feelings for the team. I promise.
yeah. I like the I did like the blue collar mentality and the mindset. Uh, a lot of symbolism is why Phillies was so high on this list for
Fair.
me. Um, so that was 12, and then 11, just outside the top 10, the Atlanta Braves.
Fair.
So a really clean set. There were a lot of other ones where I was like, I just like this one a little better. I just like this one a little better.
Yeah. No,
So
that's fair. Yeah. Oh, Matt also said he didn't like the script either. Yeah.
yeah, the script is not all that impressive. Again, it kind of gets lost. The numbers look really choppy. Um,
It's well, Trey Turner looks like a question mark. That's not a single
yeah, pretty
damn
much.
question
Well, I
mark.
mean, whether he's available is a question mark some days right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So I think
Yeah,
the other thing too is I couldn't give you the satisfaction of having Atlanta in the top 10. That's probably
that's
another
okay.
thing.
No, I don't care where anybody has any of the uniforms ranked as long as Dodgers 1 is somewhere near the bottom. That is literally the only thing I care about in these stupid rankings is that Dodgers 1, which was the laziest piece of shit design of a uniform I have ever seen, was somewhere in the bottom 5 for everybody. That's literally the only part of these rankings that I care about.
Hmm.
All right, do you want to do full top 10 or do you want to go 10 to 6 and then top 5?
Let's go back and forth for 10 and just kind of work our way up.
I like it. All right, for me, number 10, drum roll, please. Baltimore Orioles.
Okay. Number 10 for me was the San Francisco Giants.
Ugh,
I like the cloud and the bridge and all of that stuff. The symbolism to me made it is why this appealed to me so
you
much.
can't read the numbers.
I
That's what,
don't care.
but that's part of a uniform, so you know who the hell it is. Anyway,
I mean, let's be honest. Gabe Kapler's in charge. I don't. They're going to be
well,
irrelevant anyhow.
yeah, nobody knows what the hell's going on with that.
Yeah.
For Baltimore would have been higher for me if it was not mono black initially. The white pants is definitely better, but come on, you're the Orioles. Put some damn orange on there, please. All right, number 9 for me is where did I put them? There it is, Minnesota.
Miami for me.
I do that Miami uniform sharp. It's also you want to know something crazy? It's the only uniform in Miami's entire set that says Miami.
I know. That's the one thing that I mean, really that to fact that it's the only thing that has the Miami on it or anything like that. It's crazy. Yeah, that was number 9 for me with Miami.
That's one of my favorites, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was
Number
one of my favorites, and then some other ones have kind of pushed it down the list.
Yeah, that's okay. Number 8, Houston. I love Space City. That was a cool idea.
I went with Boston at 8.
Boston, yeah, that uniform is very polarizing because it's so not Red Sox, but the meaning behind it's what gets me with that one.
It's so Boston, but for me, it was just so hard to enjoy it as much as some of these other ones
That's fair.
because of that, where it's just not quite Red Sox. The city connection was amazing, but it just wasn't high enough on the list for me.
Boston may have had the best pure city connection of all of them.
Probably.
Also, with Houston, I would have had them higher if they would have gone with the orange pants to match the navy top, because that's history of that franchise. They've always been flamboyant with colors. I really wish they would. I think that would have looked so cool. And then instead of having the orange stripe, have it make it a navy blue stripe down instead. I think that would have looked really nice in the field, and harken back to the Astros Tequila Sunrise days too. All right, number 7. I have the Seattle Mariners / Pilots.
I have Houston at 7.
All right.
The Space City concept was pretty cool.
It was, and I love the NASA style lettering. That was top.
Yeah,
notch.
that was top notch. That was fun.
Number 6, I had the Angels. I really liked how clean the jersey was. It was a nice concept to read, and again, it did what a jersey's supposed to. You could tell who the team was. You could tell who the players were. And the cream worked for me too.
Okay. I had at 6, I had the Nationals. I really liked the cherry blossom theme. The gray was pretty sharp with that contrast. So that's why they were 6 for me. It's one of my favorites early on, if you'll remember. So
yeah, that's still one of my favorites. I have the Nationals in at 5. I would have had the Nationals top 3 if they would have, instead of doing the stupid sublimated flowers, if they would have made all the flowers pink so you could actually see them. Because the gray with the pink popping, it's a really nice look. And I heard the Nationals are actually set to retire that uniform, which I actually think is kind of a pity. I really like that one. I hope if they redesign it, I hope they do something similar again and even go with a pink jersey. I think a pink jersey would work really well with that also. You lean into the cherry blossom. It's a great look.
Yeah, it definitely was a good look. So we're at 5, you said?
5. Yep.
I had Minnesota there.
Okay.
I liked the connections to the state. It was really clean, really sharp. Little lower than top 3 because it's not really a city.
Well, we talked
to.
about this too when they came out. They kind of did City Connect when they had their whole uniform redesign last year. They already did a bunch of Twin Cities stuff. So, and the fact that they are the Minnesota Twins, not the Minneapolis Twins or the St. Paul Twins, they leaned into the full state connect. I'm okay with that. I like it. Kind of the same way that the Rockies did. All right, number 4. Boston for me.
For me, number 4 was Baltimore. I liked the clean look. I liked the hidden, vibrant colors on the inside. To me, that's pretty symbolic of Baltimore in a way. It's very, there's certain areas that are very, the clean kind of look, and then it's also areas that some of the beauty of Baltimore is found in the different neighborhoods of the area. You kind of have to go digging. So I kind of like the way that they did that. To get a little bit more of Baltimore, you got to go digging into different parts of town.
Well, and the idea behind it was roll up your sleeves and get to work, kind of like a pseudo blue collar idea, because Baltimore is also, it's not as blue collar as Philly, but they're very blue collar. I do like that they tweaked the uniforms to make that on the sleeves instead of only seen if you roll it up. That was a very, very good change. Plus, when you have an all black uniform, you have to have a splash of color. It just helps, instead of going black and dark red like the idiot Reds did. All right, number 3. I had Miami.
Yeah, number 3, I went with Colorado. I thought they did a really good job with the color contrast for me, set them apart.
Okay.
the neat features with the ski tag, that kind of stuff.
Out of curiosity, number 3, as it is now green top, white pants, or as it was originally green top, green pants? Just curious.
Green, white.
Okay. That was definitely a good change. Mono green is not a great look for anybody, especially not if you're playing an NFL game down in Brazil. Did I say that? Yeah, I did. Number 2, the Chicago White Sox. I love that. If they didn't have the pinstripes, it would have been a lot lower. The pinstripes really helped draw it for me. I like the Gothic font they did. I really thought the White Sox did a nice job with that uniform, and I still want the White Sox and the Cubs, whenever they play, to do City Connect versus City Connect. Just my thought.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry about that. Number 2, Joe.
You know what? It's funny. I can't find it on my list right now.
It's either Pittsburgh or Detroit.
Oh, jeez Louise. I messed that up, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, because Detroit does not deserve to be in the top 10, in my humble opinion.
Well, so for me, anyway, we'll do it because I made it this far with it. We'll go with it. You know what? Pittsburgh 2.
Really? That means you're going to put the Tigers 1?
Yeah, I love the Motor City idea. I truly love the Motor City idea.
I like the Motor City idea, but oh my God, the tire track doesn't look like a tire track at all.
You know what, dude?
I know. Ugh.
Yeah.
And I know.
I did miss it in the order there, and I had 2 12s for some stupid reason, and I couldn't find it. And anyway, so we'll go with that. I'll eat the air. Like Cody Bellinger forgetting how many outs there are.
That was bad. That was really bad.
Yeah.
And I will say this for Pittsburgh. One thing I wish they would have done to those uniforms that would have easily made them top 10 for me: pillbox hats. If they would have gone back to the old school throwback pillbox hat, that would have been a top 10 uniform easy for me. For Atlanta, I know it's a homer pick, blah, 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 blah. I know.
Cue the huddle up soundboard. Homer.
It's not wrong most of the time, but I do love how clean the look is. I like that they did a more modern take on the Hank Aaron Classics. So they had to give up the Hank Aaron Classics with Nike's stupid, 4+1 rule or whatever.
4+1, yeah.
Yeah, they had to give them up. They didn't have another uniform to get rid of. So this is a way for them to keep it in there. And in the redesign, they got rid of the Native American iconography that has so often been a problem with their uniforms, and I respect that. For the A is kind of dumb. I'll give you that, but they've been using that as a hashtag rally for years to get away from Chop On. So I can respect what they were doing with that, and it's a very clean look. I like how they used, classic hat design with the green under brim and things like that. So, yeah, it's Homer, I know, but it's a clean look. So I feel like in my head I can justify it.
Yeah.
Say Detroit.
So to finish this one off,
mm-hmm.
as a feeler question out to you, if there was a uniform outside the bottom 5 that a team had to get rid of, so anybody from 24 up,
okay,
because of the 4+1 rule, which one do you get rid of first?
On my list? Oh,
yeah.
So which city connect should bite the bullet from 24 up?
Yeah, from 24 up.
Of course you said 24. I can't say Detroit. Texas. It just doesn't make sense. They tried to like doing the Mighty Morphing Power Rangers of 2 old minor league teams, and the fact that you can't figure out by looking at it what the hell this team is. I think it's got to be Texas for me. I want to say Cincinnati, but I had them too low to get rid of. So, yeah, it's got to be Texas right at 24 for me.
Okay. For me, it would probably be. Well, let's see.
It's tough. That's not an easy question.
Look, I've banged on them enough. Let's go with St. Louis.
Yeah. And to be fair, teams like St. Louis, like like LA, teams that have classically great looking uniforms, they were always going to be screwed by the City Connect by not being able to come up with something even close to as good as their regular set. I understand that. But St. Louis mailed it in.
In the words of a great wordsmith and T-shirt maker, St. Louis is boring.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So, look, I feel bad for all those fans who were at all those rain delays there for about 2 weeks, and it's like, well, what the hell do you do when the game's not going?
Drink.
So, yeah, that would be the one I would get rid of, and it sounds like a petty Cub thing to do, but I just didn't like it.
No, I think it's fair though.
Yeah.
All right. I had one milestone that I noticed over the past week. Wyatt Langford hit for the cycle, and that was the first cycle of the entire season, actually, for MLB. So congratulations to Wyatt. Joe, did I miss any milestones you can think of?
I don't think so. That was the big exciting thing. Yeah, that's probably the only thing that was really, really noteworthy last week, from a milestone standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think I saw anything else. And we weren't due for any. We already mentioned. We might not have mentioned on the show. Max Scherzer tied Greg Maddux in all-time strikeouts as well, at 11th all-time. So, yeah, blah blah, whatever. Move on, Scherzer.
Right.
All right. Now, Joe, you had a great food for thought question this week. Go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so I was talking again. This was last week at lunch with my boss, and we were talking about this, and he knows I love baseball, and he says 5 players, money's no object, they all cost the same. 5 players you'd build a team around. He didn't give the qualifiers I gave to you guys, but to me, that's the way it made sense in my head as I was thinking through it.
Okay.
3 position players, 1 starting pitcher, and 1 reliever. If you were going to build your team around them, who would those 5 players be?
I've been thinking a lot about this because this is a great question. Man, this is tough.
I can give Jason's if you would like me to do that.
Yeah, go ahead and give Jason's first.
So post this to Jason since he wasn't able to be here. He said he would do Bryce Harper, Adley Rutschman, Corbin Carroll. Those are the position players. He picked Wheeler from the starting standpoint, but he was torn between Wheeler and Ranger Suarez. God, that's a hard thing to do, to decide between 2 great players on your own team. And Emmanuel Clase was his closer for this. So
I don't think Wheeler's a guy you pick for a position guy.
Well, he picked Wheeler for the starting pitcher.
Not Wheeler. Harper, I mean. Sorry, not Wheeler. No, Wheeler's not a bad guy to look at. I feel like when you need that veteran presence, like we were talking about before the show started, I'd rather have it in the pitching staff than on the bench, because when the shit hits the fan in the playoffs, you want a veteran guy keeping the staff under control as the pitching's coming under fire. So that's why I wouldn't have done Harper. For me, I'm going to go J-Rod in the outfield. I know he's not having the greatest year this year, but he's exciting as hell. The dude can hit the ball a mile. Just a guy I've always loved to watch, especially in the last couple times in the home run derby. He has been great. I hope he says yes again. I want to see him in there again. Man, this is so tough. Thank your boss for one hell of a question, Joe. This is I think I'm going to agree with Jason with Rutschman because having a great catcher that can handle a staff is so important. It's so often forgotten. And a guy that can handle a staff so well can help get those pitchers through anything. It's as you and I have pointed out before, Greg Maddux and Gregor Blanco. Maddux would never pitch to another catcher unless he was forced to. In those games that he didn't have Blanco behind the plate, he did not pitch as well as when he had his guy.
Yeah, to be sure.
For my third guy, let me think here. He's been a little down this year. I don't want to go Judge. Judge is hurt too much, as good as he is. Judge is always hurt. Ozuna's got too much baggage. Freddie's a great veteran guy, but again, he's older. It's just like Harper. I'm looking for guys a little bit younger. I think, you know what? I think Vlad Jr. I think Vlad Jr. would be my third position guy. And he's just coming into his prime now. And from everything you hear on the Blue Jays, he is absolutely a vocal leader for that team. So, yeah, I think Vlad Jr. is going to be my guy. For my pitcher, because, again, I wanted a veteran guy, it's going to seem like a homer pick, but it's really not because he hasn't played most of his career with Atlanta. I'm going to go Chris Sale because he's been there. He's won World Series titles, multiple, if I remember right. He's a veteran presence, and look at the arc of this guy's career. He has literally been at the highest of highs and hit rock bottom with unlucky injuries. I think he is the guy I want to anchor and start, even if he's not going to be your number one. He is a great veteran guy to build a pitching staff around because of all of his experience. And I think pitcher's just one of those where you're better off. If you want a veteran somewhere, I think pitching is where you put them because the staff needs it more than the hitters do. The hitters will get in and out of their heads on their own, but pitchers are, let's be real, Joe, pitchers are a little ornery. I don't think anybody can argue with us on that one,
No, definitely not.
Nobody is more superstitious than a pitcher. And then, man, who do you build around with closers? The problem with building around closers is closers come and go so quickly. You don't have a ton of guys that maintain good closing year after year after year after year, and they're so quickly replaced.
As Jason has pointed out to me numerous times, reliever does not always mean closer. So if there's a long relief guy that you like, we can go that direction.
Joe, do your guys, and then I'll give you a guy. I'm between a couple guys. Let me think on it for a minute.
That sounds good. Catcher wise for me, this was a slam dunk. The three of us are unanimous on this one. Rutschman would have been my guy from the catching standpoint.
Yeah,
got to have that stability behind the plate, and he's a great kid who's hungry and loves the game. Those are big things for me. I did have Harper on here, kind of like Jason, because I'm thinking, you know what, and this is big because I mean, you'll get there eventually, but I was not a huge Harper fan for a long time.
I'm not going to get there, but that's okay.
And I'm not like a diehard Harper fan, but I love what he brings to the table. So from an emotional standpoint, and from an offensive standpoint, now that all he does is hit. So Harper was the next guy for me. The other guy who I went with somebody super young, more rookie-ish level for the third player because I love what the guy can do, mixing things up. he's a legit 99 speed talent. So I think you know where I'm going with this one. Can cover every spot in the outfield, basically wall to wall. If there was no right fielder or left fielder, probably.
Mhm.
Pete Crow Armstrong. The guy is just a
Yeah.
lights out talent from a speed standpoint. And he hasn't. The other outfielders haven't quite figured out how to play with him because he can cover so much territory so damn quick. Um, so he would be the other guy that I would build around from a position player standpoint. I know that's a lot of trust in a rookie, but I believe in what he's doing. Um,
I actually think that's a really good pick for outfielder, to be honest.
yeah. Um, for
Excuse me.
pitcher, I did have Wheeler, but I'm going to go with somebody else to sort of bring a different perspective on this. I think for me, um, all things being equal, jeez,
It's tough.
it's harder than I thought
Yeah.
to go with anybody besides Wheeler. But to me, um, that's much tougher than I thought when I go outside of that. But Wheeler would be one, but for 1A, for purposes of contrasting things a little bit, um, probably Tyler Glass now because the guy is ridiculous right now from a arm standpoint, a stuff standpoint. I don't care for his positions and attitudes on a lot of
Yeah.
stuff and playing through injuries and throwing as hard as he can every damn pitch, but the guy has electric stuff right now. And it's been extremely dominant for the Dodgers this year. Uh, that would be probably my 1A selection from a stuff standpoint. Um,
You're not wrong, and yeah, Glass now he. Let's be real. He's not Trevor Bauer when it comes to controversy off the field with what he says, but at the same time, it's the same kind of idea. He's going to say what he's going to say, but Glass now backs it up. He does.
yeah, so I mean, from that standpoint, the stuff standpoint with Glass now, I think that would be my other choice from a starting pitching standpoint. Um, if I had to go off of Wheeler for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
For closer or reliever, I think I had similar picks to Jason. I did have Class A, but the more and more I think about it, the more and more I look at a guy like um, Mason Miller for the A's. I know it's a lot of trust to put in a young arm, but the guy has been delivering so far this year for them, and seems to have the right attitude. So I think that would be the other person I would pick from a relieving standpoint.
I you know I Yeah, I can't argue that. That's a good pick. Um, he's young. Is he the guy I really want to call on? Yeah, I think the reliever I'm going to call on. This is going to be way out of right field. I'm going to go with from Seattle, Matt Brash.
Okay.
Matt Brash, 9-4 this year, 3.06 ERA. I'm sorry, last year. No, he's not playing this year. Isn't he hurt? He might be hurt. Yeah, he hasn't played a game this year. He may be recovering from injury, but I'm still going to go with Matt Brash. Last year, he appeared in 78 games, pitching 70 and 2/3. So it's not like he's just doing a ton of short outings. He had a 13.6 K per nine last year with only a 3.7 walk per nine, a healthy 3.69 strikeout per walk, a 1.3 whip, ERA plus of 132, looking at some of the advanced stats. He's the kind of guy that he may very well end up being a closer at some point. But as a setup man, he has been absolutely phenomenal when he has been given the opportunity and when he's been healthy. I know he gets hurt a lot, but the numbers are there, man. I mean, last year he had a 1% home run allowed percentage. He struck out 34.7%, walked 9.4. His hard hit percentage was down at 34.3% and 45.2% ground ball percentage. He gets outs. He comes in, he pounds the strike zone, and he gets out. So I think Matt Brash would be the guy I would build the bullpen around because he has closer stuff, but he's not a closer mentality guy, and he can succeed anywhere you need him in the pen. If you need him to be a 2-inning guy, he could be a 2-inning guy. If you need him to close, he can close. If you need him to set up, he could set up. If you need him to be your stopper that you just bring in because all hell is about to break loose and you're about to lose the game, he's your guy. Kind of like how Cleveland used to use Andrew Miller when they brought him in. He would have been the closer on many teams, but he was their stopper. He was the guy they would bring in against the other team's best hitter at the worst point in the game. So yeah, I think Matt Brash is my guy for reliever.
Very familiar with Andrew Miller.
Yeah, that dude owes me money for stealing my name. I'm older.
I bet he does.
All right, Joe, that was a great question. I like that a lot. All right, let's move it into the hot list. My hot hitter for the week, Joe. Did you just send Moneyball and?
I did.
Okay. All right. So my hot hitter then for the week, because I made sure it wasn't your guy, is Vlad Jr. 500, 519, 1.154 with a 1.672 OPS, 25 at bat, 6 runs, 13 hits, 5 doubles, 4 homers, 17 RBIs. No walks, 3 strikeouts. Hell of a week.
Yeah, really. My hot hitter outside of Moneyball was Brandon Nimmo from the Mets. 278, 480, 722, a OPS of 1202. 7 runs on 5 hits, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 6 walks, 2 strikeouts. Excellent week. A big reason that the Mets have ridden the grimace streak as far as they've ridden it.
Oh, the stupid grimace streak. I can't.
Hey, if it works, don't change it, man.
Yeah, especially superstitious as freaking baseball players are. Yeah.
Yeah.
My pitcher for the week. I'm going to go with a guy I don't think we've ever mentioned before, Taj Bradley of Tampa Bay. He had 2 starts. He went 1-0, 11 innings. He struck out 19, a .82 ERA, a whip of 1. He allowed 1 earned run, 5 hits, 6 walks, and that 1 earned run came on a solo shot. Not bad.
Definitely not. We skipped Moneyball, so let me go back to that real quick.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Moneyball.
George Springer from Toronto, 625, 684 on base, 1313 slug, and OPS of 1997.
Jesus.
4 runs on 10 hits, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. An excellent week. Him with Vlad Jr., obviously a reason that Toronto has been playing a little bit better lately.
Yeah.
To be sure. Top pitcher for me, just to rag on Met fans a little bit, Seth Lugo. 1-0 in 2 starts this week, 12 innings pitched, 6 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 18 strikeouts. Good for a .75 whip, a 143 batting average against. Excellent week for Seth Lugo. Lugo continues to be on a hot streak most of the year. I think he's only lost 2 games, 2 decisions so far. The guy has been electric stuff and has continued to play consistently, even though Kansas City kind of fell off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were talking about our predictions for some of the guys who could be called upon to start the All-Star game, he was one that I mentioned probably won't get called to start, but should be strongly considered. He's
absolutely excellent. Absolutely.
Season. Yeah, I still think Tariq Skubal is going to get the start in the American League, but Seth Lugo is definitely giving him a run for his money. He's having a hell of a season so far.
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at the hot list for the teams.
Adulting reliever.
Oh, yeah, adulting reliever. Jesus. See, this is what happens when I take a week off. I get screwed up. Joe, the adulting reliever of the week is
Brevia from the White Sox. 4 appearances, 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a .75 whip, a .077 batting average against. Excellent week. Doesn't amount to much, but still, he had an excellent individual performances, especially this time of year as you start thinking about trades. A guy that stands out from a bullpen perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the the hot teams right now, which is kind of screwed up because we didn't really look at last week at all. I'm just going to pick, I think I'm going to pick 3. I'm going to pick the Astros, as much as it pains me to say that. I'm going to pick the Padres. Slightly less painful to say the Padres. I can live with that one at least. And then I'm also going to go with Tampa Bay, actually. They've climbed back to 500 on 7-3 over the last 10.
Which is a really big change considering where they were, to be sure. I didn't have anybody in addition to that. So from a team standpoint.
Good enough for me. All right, looking at the week up ahead for our teams plus local. Atlanta 3 versus the Giants starting tomorrow night. Lopez versus Birdsong. What a name is that, Birdsong. Sale versus Hicks, Morton versus Webb. And then the Phillies come to town, and it will be Fried versus Noah on Friday night. That's going to be great. Spencer Schwellenbach versus Ranger Suarez on Saturday. Schwellenbach, I'm liking him. So he can't get through the third time right now. And for a rookie, I'm not surprised. But his first 2 times, he looks great. He hasn't figured that out yet, but he will. He's a rookie. Give him time. And then Lopez versus Mercado Sunday. Finally, a matchup I can say, hey, we might have a chance without a little bit of luck. And then the Phillies in the first half of the week have to go to Chicago to visit the Cubbies. Wisniewski versus Mercado tomorrow, Imananga Wheeler on Wednesday, and then the 4th of July is Tyone versus Sanchez. And I'm just going to pause for 1 second and say it is ridiculous that the Phillies are not playing at home on the 4th of July.
We are continuing to beat that drum loudly. If anybody has the ear of Rob Manfred, please pass us along to him because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, if the Reds can always start the season at home because of tradition, then the freaking Phillies should always be at home on the 4th of July because birthplace of the freaking country. Thank you very much.
And please, if you don't get it right next year, at least get it right in 2026 for the love of God.
Yeah.
For the love of all that is holy. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care what their record is. Make it happen.
Yes.
It has to happen.
It's been a few years since they've been at home on the 4th, which is nuts.
It should be a regular thing. It should be an annual thing. And the fact that it isn't to this point is disgusting to me. You call yourself America's pastime, and the birthplace of the country isn't even home on the 4th of July.
I'm sorry. I would rather see the Reds start the year on the road than see the Phillies be on the road over the 4th of July. If we can only pick one of those 2 things to continue, it should be the Phillies at home on the 4th of July.
Absolutely.
All right, and the Cubbies will end the week 3 versus the Angels, Steele versus Canning, Hendricks versus Anderson, and Wisniewski versus Soriano. And then for our local Orioles, 3 at the Mariners, Rodriguez versus Kirby, Burns versus Gilbert, Suarez versus Miller. Oh, that's the other thing that screwed me up this week in fantasy. Corbin Burns was on the freaking paternity list. Mm-hmm. Did not help one bit. And then 3 at the A's, Povich versus Harris, Irvin versus Medina, Rodriguez versus Spence. So, I'm excited to see how the Orioles do in the West Coast trip because, as we know, East Coast teams in the West Coast, it's always a little bit hit and miss how well it goes out there.
Yeah, the only 2 games I'll probably watch this week, truthfully, is Wednesday night and Thursday. from a Cubs standpoint, I mean, the team has just been dreadful.
Yeah, I get it.
There's already talk that they're when the only 2 teams that are worse than you are the Marlins and the Rockies, you have problems. I don't care how many games back you are in the wild card. I don't care. It's just unacceptable from that standpoint. There was a number, I see if I find it, the payrolls of the 2 clubs It's just or of the clubs in the NL Central, and it's just disgusting. Like here it is. So the Milwaukee Brewers have a team payroll of 108,093,066 in first place. The Pirates have a payroll of 84,356,555. The Cubs in last place have a payroll of 227,191,971, and they've got absolutely nothing to show for it.
Nope.
This is gross. This is pathetic. You're in the last place by a long shot in that division, and it feels like the Bucks never going to change. It really feels like it's just a downhill spiral at this point. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody but Shota. I mean, there's a lot of guys I don't want to lose, but everybody but Shota is probably available at this point.
Yeah.
They're starting to talk and put the seller vibes out there. There's even some rumors about the Mariners talking with the Cubs about Nico Horner, which will break my heart. You guys know how much of a Nico guy I am, but it's really disheartening. So that'll be probably the only Cubs games I watch this week. If for nothing else, to hopefully win 2 of 3 against the Phillies.
I wouldn't be upset by that.
No, I'm sure you would.
If Nico's available, I have one question: can he play shortstop?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I want to get rid of Orlando Arcia. It's so bad. His club's still
he
good.
Played short.
My God, his hitting so streaky this year. It's awful.
Up until they signed Dansby Swanson, that's where Nico was playing. So
there we go. That's all Nico needs. He needs to change the scenery, and he needs to move back to shortstop. Atlanta would be a great place for him. It won't happen. But
I hope not. It better not.
No, dude, we don't have enough in the farm system that we're willing to give up to get Nico. There's no chance.
No, definitely not. So,
and I'll use my limited influence as a very, 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 very part owner to say, don't do it. All right, guys. Audio recordings are available on Anchor, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Merchandise is at redbubble.com. You follow us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/dollardogsandbeer. Our Twitter handle is at DDAB_podcast. All 4 of us are on there. I'm at PyroLord314. Jason's at JRicker300. Joe is at JoltonJoe35. Ron's at Dipner Ron. We're presented by Dark Arrow Podcast LLC and sponsored by Baron Barber Shop over in Manheim. Guys, may your dogs always cost $1. May your beer always be cold. Have a great, and I cannot emphasize this enough, have a safe 4th of July. Please, when you're watching the show next week, please make sure you have all 8 fingers and 2 thumbs that you had this week. Don't be that guy who doesn't realize he is in the last week of his life having a full set of fingers and thumbs. We'll see you next week.